I was deep into Satisfactory, fully immersed in one of my usual resource runs, hunting for those elusive power slugs scattered across the map. The green and purple glows were always a satisfying sight, knowing they would give me the boost I needed for my factory.
I'll be
But
on
lately,
the prowl.
something felt off. The air in the game seemed heavier, more oppressive. Even the distant hum of my machinery felt quieter, drowned out by a noise I couldn't quite place. It started the day I noticed the car. I was near one of the waterfalls in the grass fields biome, on my way to grab a yellow power slug I'd spotted earlier. As I made my way through the dense trees, I saw something weird on the horizon, a dark shape, low to the ground, parked just out of view behind a rock formation. I ignored it at first, thinking it was just a graphical glitch or an oddly shaped boulder. But as I climbed higher, trying to get a better angle on the slug, I realized it wasn't a rock. It was a car. A sleek, black car. Glossy. It sat unnaturally still in the environment, its dark exterior reflecting the bright green and blue landscape in warped, unsettling ways. There were no cars like that in Satisfactory, no reason for something like that to exist here. I stopped moving for a moment, frozen in my seat, staring at it. The car was facing me, headlights off, engine silent. My heart started to race, but I forced myself to shake it off. It's just a bug, I told myself. A weird texture, maybe part of a future update. I moved on, collecting the power slug and heading toward my next destination, but the sight of the car lingered in the back of my mind. As I climbed down the cliffside, I checked behind me, half expecting it to be gone. But no, it was still there. Watching. For the next few hours, I couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. Whenever I turned around, the car wasn't there, but I could feel its presence lurking just beyond the trees or hills. The game's ambient noises, the birds, the wind seemed muffled, as if something was absorbing the sound. My movements felt slower, like the game was lagging, but my FPS was fine. Then, it happened. I was crossing a plain, heading toward another slug, when I heard the unmistakable hum of an engine. At first, it was faint, blending in with the usual hum of my power lines. But as I moved forward, the hum grew louder, closer. I whipped the camera around, and there it was. The car. This time, it wasn't parked. It was creeping forward, rolling slowly across the terrain, its engine purring like a predator stalking its prey. My fingers fumbled on the keyboard, and I sprinted toward the nearest rocks, trying to lose it. But the car wasn't stopping. It followed, navigating the landscape effortlessly, getting closer and closer. Come on, come on. I muttered, frantically running through my options.
I muttered.
There were no enemies around, no cliffs to hide behind. Just me, an open plain, and that thing closing in. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew this wasn't a glitch. Something was controlling the car, stalking me across the map. The headlights flickered on, casting long shadows across the ground, and I swear I saw something inside, just a silhouette, sitting perfectly still behind the wheel. Watching. My heart pounded in my chest as I ran through the trees, the hum growing louder with every step. I could see the purple glow of another power slug ahead, but my focus was split. I kept glancing behind me, and sure enough, the car was still there, moving with a strange, unnatural smoothness. It shouldn't be able to navigate like that. Not in this game. The car revved louder, and in a split second, it surged forward, closing the distance between us in seconds. I could hear the tires screeching, the sound of metal on metal as it tore through the game's terrain. It was right on me. Then, it stopped. I turned around, panting, my fingers shaking on the controls. The car had come to a complete halt just a few feet from my character. Its engine was still running, idling like a patient predator. My screen flickered for a moment, just a split second, but it was enough to make my heart skip a beat. The figure inside shifted. "Hello," a deep, distorted voice crackled through my speakers. It didn't belong to the game. It was too loud, too real, like someone was speaking directly into my headset. I backed away, but then the screen flickered again, and the game froze. My character was locked in place. I tried to Alt plus F4, but nothing worked. The hum from the car grew louder, vibrating through my speakers, and suddenly, the world around me started to distort. The trees stretched unnaturally tall, their shapes warping into long, jagged lines. The sky darkened, and the familiar glow of the power slugs began to dim, flickering like dying embers. That's when I saw it. At the edge of my screen, barely visible through the trees, stood a figure. Not like the ones I'd seen in the game before. This was different. It was taller, broader, and wearing a bear suit. The figure stepped closer, and my heart sank.
No, this didn't make any sense. This wasn't Five Nights at Freddy's, but there he was, towering over the landscape, his glowing eyes locked on my character. His mouth opened, revealing rows of sharp, mechanical teeth, and I could hear the faint, distorted jingle of his theme music, warped and stretched like a nightmare. The car's engine revved one last time, and as Freddy took a step forward, the screen went black. For a long moment, I just sat there, staring at the blank screen, the hum still echoing in my ears. Then, slowly, a message appeared, one that made my stomach turn. You can't escape. We're everywhere now. The game crashed, and when I tried to reboot it, all of my save files were gone. And outside, I heard the faint sound of an engine idling.